Good evening. It is good to be with you again. I welcome you with all my heart. I was chatting to a lady on the phone this morning, and she asked me, what happens to a person who is in the presence of a jnani or a sage for many, many years, but they do not become enlightened before they die? What happens to them? That is a fair question, so we will talk about this, because I'm sure many of you wonder the same thing. You do keep saying to me, I'm not enlightened yet. What will happen? Of course, in truth, you are already enlightened. Nothing has to happen. Nothing ever happens. It's up to you to see this. To remove the obstacles that make you think you're not enlightened. But in any event, one of three things will happen to such a person. They will either become liberated when they drop the body and never have to return again in a body, or they will be born to spiritual parents who are really totally evolved in this path, and they will be born as a baby into those circumstances. Or they will be born on another planet that's much more advanced than this planet, where there is total peace, bliss, and happiness. And they will find liberation on that particular planet sooner or later. So you have three choices. We'll talk about them a little bit. The first one, for a devotee who has been sincere in this particular path, who has really put this path first, put the teaching first, for such a one, they are already liberated while in the body, but they don't know it. So when they drop the body, they become totally free, becoming all-pervasive, absolute reality, becoming the entire universe, the essence of the entire universe. Yet you do not lose your knowledge of who you are. This is very paradoxical when you think about it. Every enlightened being is also the whole universe. Every plant, every bug, every animal, every mineral, every human being, every planet, every universe, everything. An awakened one is part of the whole system. He is in all things. Of course, the question arises from the ajnani, the one without spiritual knowledge, who will ask, how can this be? How can all the enlightened beings who have been here since the beginning of time all be in the same place at the same time? Yeah, this is exactly what happens. This is why I tell you so often that everything is sacred. The ground upon which you walk is holy ground. Everything is sacred. You should have reverence for all things. All things are God, so to speak. The leaf, the cockroach, the bed bug, the mass murderer, every being, everything. God is in all things. But most people do not understand this. They judge by appearances and want solutions immediately for the things they see. But as you become evolved, you begin to intellectually understand this thoroughly. The whole universe is Brahman. The whole universe is effortless, choiceless, pure awareness, Satchidananda. A realized being is all-pervasive and is all of these things. Number two, if you need more training, more knowledge, more understanding. And you were very sincere in this body, in this life. You will go into a family and be reborn. A family that is very spiritually oriented, who are on the brink of realization. You will become their child. All the preliminary work has been done for you. And in that particular incarnation, you will be self-realized. Number 3. There are many planets in this universe, billions and trillions of suns. Each one has a certain amount of planets revolving around its orbit. Many of these planets contain life, life forms such as us. A being who in this body has again been sincere, who is devoted to the self, putting God and reality first in their life, letting go of all the nonsense and foolishness and things that bother most people. Fears, anxieties, needs, desires, wants. Giving up all of these things, attachments, depending on their karma, they will go to an advanced planet, which is far more evolved than this earth. A place where there are no wars, no more man's inhumanity to man. These beings will become free on that particular planet at a specified time. Interesting, isn't it? When I was 12 years old, I used to ask my mother, "What am I doing here? I don't belong here. Why am I here?" And my mother used to say, "You're here to be like everybody else, to get a job, to have a profession, to go into this world and make something out of yourself." Then she would ask, "Do you know what you want to be when you grow up?" I would say, "Nothing." I don't think I knew what I was talking about at that time. But after a while, she thought we should go see a physician. She told him what I was saying and doing. So he said, "I'll take care of this." He gave me a physical examination. Everything was fine. Then he asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I told him, "I don't care what I am when I grow up. I just want to know what I'm doing here. What am I doing here?" And he asked, "You mean on this earth?" So I said, "No. In this body. What am I doing in this body? I feel like I'm in prison. I feel as if I'm confined to something." So he looked at me and then said something to my mother about a psychiatrist. The next day, my mother took me to see a lady psychiatrist. My mom told her the story of what I'd been doing. She took me into her office. There was a lovely couch there. I lay down on it. I really enjoyed it. She asked me, "So, you don't think you are the body? You think you're someone else?" And she giggled. "You know, Freud used to think the same thing." Again, she asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I asked her, "Why is everybody asking me this question? There is really nothing I care to be when I grow up at all. I just feel confined to my body. I feel as if I'm in prison. I don't belong here." These people just kept asking me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Now, what does all of this have to do with our talk today? Absolutely nothing. What is the moral of this story? It has no moral whatsoever. Just something I thought I'd throw in. The absolute truth is no one dies. No one is born. No one prevails. If you can only accept that for yourself and understand its meaning, you'll be totally free right now. completely free, completely liberated. What I was telling you before about going to different planets and the rest of it is utter nonsense. There's really nowhere to go. Yet it does appear this way to people who don't understand these things. The other planets, other universes, are just like this Earth. This Earth does not really exist. It is not here at all. Neither is your body. But as long as you believe you are the body, or you are the world, and the world is real for you, all the things that we were speaking about will happen. But to whom will they happen? To the one who does not understand. It is like when you go to see a movie. To whom does the movie happen? To you. You are watching the movie. You may agree with some of the characters in the movie. You may disagree with some of the characters in the movie. You may get excited over some scenes in the movie. But you are the one doing all of these things. The movie itself is impersonal. It's just a movie. If you want to get excited about it and cry and laugh, that's your choice. That is what you want to do. Life is the same way. We have to understand that life is a movie. Everything that you behold with your senses is images on the screen of life. Images superimposed on the screen of life. None of it is real, just as the movie is not real. Would you leave the movie when you go home and think the movie was real, and take all the characters with you, and think about them day and night? Of course not. You usually forget the movie as soon as you walk out of the theater. Some people carry it with them a little bit, and then they let go of it later. But when you let go of the movie, you go back to yourself, to what you think you are. You go back to your life, your problems, and you forget about the movie. Life is like that. Different things happen in this world. Wars, man's inhumanity to man. Wonderful flowers grow. The sky is blue. There are mountains. Everything appears real. And you go for it. You identify with it. That's just like your reaction to the movie. Only when you identify with the things of life that appear to be real do you become part of that picture. You become part of that scenario. You become part of that happening. If you believe things are wonderful, they become sort of wonderful for you. If you believe things are terrible, they become terrible. You make these things happen by the way you allow yourself to think, by the way you allow yourself to feel, what you accept, what you deny, what you give up. All of these attractions, all of these attachments, all of these feelings form what you call your personality. Your personality is nothing but a bunch of feelings and emotions that you picked up by habit, and you react this way wherever you go. You react from the emotions, the habits that you picked up along the way since you were a little one, and this is what makes your personality. You hear people say, this person has a wonderful personality. They picked up these habits and these feelings when they were a child. Other people have a terrible disposition, a terrible personality. They also picked up all of these feelings, these emotions when they were a child. And all they can do is react to conditioning. When you begin to pursue spiritual life, you begin to understand all these things must go. All these things have to be given up. You begin to see yourself sort of like a light bulb. Your true nature is bright and shining. You are the light. But it's as if someone comes and puts a piece of cloth over the light, then another piece of cloth over the light bulb, and another piece of cloth. So you're no longer able to see the light. You only see the cloth. Therefore, you don't want to try to put other things over the cloth to be able to see the light. What you want to do is remove the cloth layer by layer until the light shines once again. So it is with your life. You are Brahman. You are that. Absolute reality. Ultimate oneness. Nirvana. You are the I am that I am, God. Reality. This is you. But for some strange reason, you've covered yourself with layers of ignorance. You have become conditioned. You have a covering called a body, which appears to you to be the real McCoy. And you go through life trying to appease the body, trying to make the body happy, doing things to the body so you'll be satisfied. Yet with a little investigation, you will begin to see that you are not the body. The body belongs to the I thought. The body belongs to the ego, to the mind. Consequently, you begin to work on yourself by removing the ego, the mind, and the I. As you continue to observe this and see this in yourself, you begin to realize that the I thought is the main culprit. You say I all day long. I love this. I hate this. I feel this. I don't feel that. You're always using the first pronoun, I. Therefore, everything is attached to this I. Your spiritual practice becomes one of removing the I thought totally and completely. For if you remove the I thought, everything else will go with it. And you will be totally free. It's like trying to take off the layers of cloth on the light. If you take them off one by one, it will take a long time. But if you go directly to the source, which is the light, the cloth will burn up by itself. This is what we do here in Advaita Vedanta. We understand. I am the light. I am Brahman. I have always been Brahman. I am Shiva. I am Krishna. I am all of the gods and goddesses. I am that. I may appear as the body, but I am not the body. There is no mind that controls me at all, for I am the light of the world. I am that. Nothing else exists but that. You turn within to that. You turn within to the self. By turning within, I always refer to negating the body totally and completely, trying to realize, even intellectually, that there never was a body to begin with. There is no body. There is only the light, consciousness, self-contained absolute reality. That is what I am. I am. I am. As you begin to think this way, you will notice that you will become more expansive. You begin to feel yourself in the mountains, in the trees, in the ocean, in the sky. At first, you only have a glimpse of these things, but as you continue, you find that all of your so-called anger subsides. You become a peaceful person, very peaceful. All of your needs and wants subside. All of your fears subside. You're no longer afraid that anyone is going to do anything to you, for there is no you left that anybody can do anything to. You has been transmuted, transcended. You have become total freedom, total love, what you always were in the beginning. How do you begin? You begin by observing everything, observing yourself especially. how you act every day, what you feel every day. You observe your emotions, your reactions, watching what motivates you, what moves you. And then you inquire, to whom do all these things come? Who is feeling all of these things? Who feels the emotions, the thoughts, the fears? Who has been feeling all of these things all of these years? I have. Well, where did this I come from? What is the source of this I? The I has to have a source. It couldn't come from nothing. The source is the absolute reality. The absolute reality never produced an I to begin with. The I thought has been a delusion all this time. As you trace it back to the source, which is Brahman, consciousness, you find that the I burns up inside the source. What really happens is that it never existed and it just disappears. Just as when you walk out of the movie is over. What is left is the screen. The screen is the substratum of the movie. So the source of you is the substratum of the image of the body and of all of the images in this world. You are the source yourself. The source has been you all this time. When you know this, it makes you feel so good. You start laughing hysterically. All these years you've been searching and looking and trying to change things, trying to add things onto yourself, trying to acquire things, when you have been the source of everything to begin with. Everything you've been looking for has been within yourself. You have been that. You then begin to surrender everything to yourself. You surrender all of your thoughts, all of your feelings. You surrender all of your desires, all of your wants to the self. You pull it all inwardly. You become like the sea and its bubbles. The bubbles break, they form, they break, they form. They form back into the sea, and then they become bubbles again. You no longer become a bubble that comes and goes every second, every minute. You become the sea. I am the bubble. Make me the sea.